Today I'll show you how to create more complex interactions in a very uncomplex way. So this one might be a little different and maybe a bit longer because I'll try to recreate the work behind one of the interactions I worked on with you. So I had this idea of saying a word design in those tiny dots and then animate it on hover. So when you hover, those dots fly over the screen, and when you remove the hover, they rearrange into the word again. It's pretty cool interaction, and I'll show you how easy it is to create something like that in Control. So let's get it started. I'm opening my editor where I have the same website without this interaction created. And the first thing I want to do is structurally, basically, I want to have a trigger. Basically, I want to define the area of my screen which will react to the hover, and then I'll set up the movements for elements. So for this particular one, the area will be this whole area around the word design. I'm not gonna use dots as a hover because it might be hard to hover and your mouse might be, not pointing on the dots every time. So it's better to have the whole area. So for this purpose, we can open the layers and we can see that I created this rectangle right here, invisible rectangle. It has 0 opacity and it will serve as my trigger. So, and here I have always allow settings. What that mean is that usually by default, elements are not clickable when they're invisible, but you can change that by right-clicking the element and selecting always allow clicks. So let's get to it. I'm selecting this rectangle, and that's a simple rectangle that has 0 opacity right here, and I'm pressing on the plus sign to create my interaction, and I'll call it design dots. And the panel appears. So first thing I want to set up is I want to set up a type of my interaction and type of my in trigger and out trigger, which will be hovers. So I will click hover in and hover out. We can close the layers panel right now, we don't really need it. And that looks good right now. So now we have 2 states, default state and state number 2, and they are the same right now because no interaction exists. And we can also close this color picker. So what I want to do while having my default state is this, right? I want to click the second tab, select my second state, and start rearranging those dots. So first thing I want to open my layers and I want to lock my rectangle so it's not going to get in the way. And then I can start pushing those circles around. And that's exactly the way interactions work in Control. Basically, all you have to do to define your state, number 2, is drag your elements wherever you want them to be. It might take a little time, but basically what you're doing right now, you're defining the second state of your interaction. So I'll be dragging all of those dots. It takes less time as it seems it takes, just like that, and be sure to spread them more or less evenly on the canvas. So you can always move this thing around, and basically it might take me a minute, but I will rearrange those dots in a way I want them to be, and it's great infinite creative freedom to easily adjust your states. So letter 2 is somehow created just like that. Maybe we can spread those guys a bit, and let's move to the letter 3. We don't have to go all the way down, we can just do it just like that, and maybe it's gonna go here. I'm trying to fill the area as equal as possible, but it's not a requirement. That's actually good enough. We are halfway through, and let's finish with the eye, just like that. That's good enough. And then we can move our panel to the left, and we can actually hide the panels altogether by pressing H. So now nothing gets in the way of our dots. So wrapping with, you can put the dot on top of the text. I think that's absolutely fine. And that's a lot of elements on the canvas. But it works great, it works fast, it doesn't lag too much. And we have the final letter N. Let's put it right here. Oh, my video might get in the way, but it doesn't really matter for a purpose of our presentation. Let's spread those guys just like that. And a final stretch. Maybe I can scroll this guy somewhere here. So we're not gonna have here and here. And I think that's good enough. I think that's good enough of a spread. Maybe a few finishing touches. I can go forever on doing that, but that feels good. Let's press H to bring back our UI, and let's see how that works. So we have default state now, and we have state number 2. Boom. That works cool, but what about the timing? In the example, we've seen that those dots been reassembling in the word with certain timing. And I'll show you how to do that in like 1 minute. So to do that, you have to set up your timing preferences for particular items. So we'll play it row by row. So I assume the longest delay, like the last line will have the longest delay, and the second line will have the shortest delay, and the first line will have no delay. So we'll have 1 millisecond delay for a first line, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for the last. To do that, we select all the dots in line, just like that, and we can press H to remove UI of the way, just like that. And then, since we want to apply this timing for the hover out, for the out effect, we find our elements, and here is a delay on the in animation, and right beneath it there is a delay on out animation. Let's adjust this delay to be 1, and you can easily bulk adjust it for all selected elements. So let's move on and do the same thing for this row, just like that. And in this case we'll have 0.2, and then let's go for this one, and for this one we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll use all of those little guys right here as the same group. Right, so we had 1, 2, now we have 3. right? And for this line, we'll have 0.4. Yep, 0.4. You can just click through on these items. You don't have to type it in, which is super useful, and speeds up things. And here we will have 0.5. Let's find those elements. They're supposed to be somewhere here, and let's select 5. And the last row, let's choose 0.6. Here it is, 0.6. All right, and then let's see how that works. So we have state number 2, and we have nice timing for dots coming back. One thing that can improve this animation a bit, you can also add some easings. You can add ease in and you can add ease out. And it will look just a little better. Boom. So let's preview it again. We have number 2, and then we have number 1. Goes into 2, then it comes back in 1. So you can preview this interaction in the editor just like I showed you, or you can go and publish your website and preview it in a browser, and it will look like something like this. Boom. Up, up. You can also easily play with other different timings, durations, and easings and delays as you wish, but I just wanted to give you this demo as a starting point to show how easy it is to create different custom movements in Control. That's it.